Welcome to episode 183 of Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie. Welcome to my war room. This is where we've been gathering for the last 183 episodes. This is how we've been riding out the pandemic. And welcome to the War Room family. Now, for anybody that is new to the War Room, first of all, welcome. Let us know in the comments that you're new and also where you're watching from so that the War Room family can properly welcome you. The War Room started on March 14th of 2020. We got together 81 nights in a row to start the pandemic off right. And then when we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast, Cocktails in the War Room became a weekly show, which is what we've been doing for the last 103 weeks. And we get together every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern to talk about current events, talk about what's going on in music, what's going on in the world, be a support system for each other, and also to gawk and ogle at my co-host, the one and only Wednesday. Come here. You got to come over here. There you go. Say hi to everybody. For anybody that's new to the War Room, this is my co-host. This is Wednesday. You can find her on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. What's up, Tracy? Noni in Queens, New York, baby. Noni and I lived together in the dorms when we were in college. What's up, Noni? Mark joining us in the War Room. Christy's here. Trisha, Jacob, David Brito is joining us. Bish is here. Tracy, Elsa, Mark is here. Christine, Carol, Lisa joining us. Come here, Wednesday. If you want one of these, you got to come over here. Come on. Come here. Come over and do your tricks for everybody. Sit down. Sit. Good girl. Down. Good girl. A high five. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. Heidi's here. Christina. Jillian joining us in the War Room, as is Jason. Alexis is here. Sean, what's going on? Donald. Keith is here. Just finished the kids' high school spring concert. Keith, you probably need a couple of beverages and some Advil for the headache, too. Thank you guys for joining me. Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. Wednesday has got some of her favorite toys in here. And as you may or may not know, I basically bribe her to hang out with me in the War Room, at least for a little while, which is why she's sitting so intently. Come on, get down. Down. Good girl. Good girl, because she wants her treats. Susie's here. Marcy is here. Donna. Louise joining us. Will, what's going on? Not too much is going on this end. I don't know where everybody is watching, but the weather is getting progressively nicer and nicer in Massachusetts, which has been really nice. The problem is that I've been dealing with for the last few weeks is that I seem to have developed some pollen allergies, which have gotten worse and worse as the weather's warmed up and as the trees and flowers in New England have begun to have sex with my face. And I have been wheezing, and it has just been a disaster. Erin says, your dog is so cute. We have been listening since WAF. What's up, Erin? Don't tell Wednesday how cute she is, because it will definitely go to her head for sure. 86 here in Kansas, and the sun is still out, says Brito. The sun just went down here, and it's going to be mid 80s by the end of this week. So please make it stop. And yes, my allergies suck as well, says Mark. Deeper voice is sexy, says Bish. I want to let you guys know kind of what's going on, because the allergies have made things a little bit difficult for me as of late. So the last 183 episodes of the War Room since the pandemic started, there you go. That's your last cookie. So now you just have to stay in here because you love me, but I don't have any more treats. So one of the things that has come up on the War Room over and over again has been COVID protocols, COVID testing, vaccinations, social distancing, masks, stop the spread, flatten the curve. Literally, that's how the War Room started. And it's been something that, as we have ridden out this pandemic, things have gotten better. We've celebrated when things have opened back up. And obviously, we kind of hunkered down together as things got closed up in the early days of the pandemic. And as anybody will know that has allergies, which I never really had them before, sneezing, coughing, hacking when you have allergies and not COVID is just ridiculous when everyone else is worried about getting sick and you're the one with the allergies. So that has been an interesting phenomenon for me. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, because we talk about pretty much everything here in the War Room, Rachel says, Sudafed has been my best friend during this allergy season. Exactly. Face police, says Tracy. Alone together, says Christina. Trust me, I work in a pharmacist. It is a zoo, says Jillian. So here's the crazy part about everything is that COVID has finally made it into my house, which, you know, over the last 2 years and a half a dozen months or so since all of this craziness started, I have been able to avoid, whether it be working in MCHQ and not going anywhere, the socially distancing, being vaccinated and boosted, wearing a mask, hand sanitizing. You've heard in interviews on the Mistress Carrie podcast, people like Sully Erna calling me COVID crazy because I was taking the protocols really seriously. If you're newer to the War Room, I just want to kind of catch you up. I have an in-law apartment in my house, and my mom has been living with me for the better part of a decade. And in the early part of COVID, it was kind of made very aware to the family that something was wrong with my mom. And we've had at length discussions about this, so it's not like I'm telling you anything that hasn't been talked about before, that my mom was diagnosed with dementia, and we know that it's Alzheimer's because it runs in the family. Well, I have been taking extra precautions because of my mom's illness and because I'm the primary caretaker for my mom. And being the primary caretaker of someone with dementia, as we have talked about on the show, can be extremely emotionally taxing. It has driven my decision-making process when it comes to everything from jobs that I've accepted to whether or not I was going to move, how I travel. It affects everything. And over the weekend, my sister and my mom both tested positive for COVID. And it has been a trying few days since that diagnosis, because obviously, on the one hand, you want to take every precaution that you can to avoid getting COVID. But at the same time, part of the reason why I've been taking, pardon the pug hole, part of the reason why I've been taking such protocols is to shield my mother from getting sick. And now she's sick. And she started showing symptoms on Saturday, and we couldn't really figure out what was going on with her. She was really spacey. She, she was acting like she had a stroke, and it was really scary. And we were trying to figure out what it was. And one of her caretakers that helps me when I need to work, be on the air, we were trying to figure out what was going on with my mom. She couldn't make complete sentences. It was really, really scary. And as we kind of, were deducing this problem, taking my mom's temperature, trying to figure out what was going on, my sister called me and said, I have really bad news. I just tested positive for COVID. And obviously she had been spending time with my mom. So we have now had to go into extreme protocols here in the house. My sister and my mom are now quarantined together in my mom's apartment. And I have become now the primary caretaker, not only for my mom, but also for my sister, because it's now my sister's responsibility, number one, first and foremost, to get physically better herself because she's symptomatic, as is my mom. But also someone needs to be able to be with my mom all the time. And in order for me to maintain my health and to be able to get them the things that they need, we've had to section them off. And so it's become a little bit complicated trying to take care of two people that I love that are ill, very ill right now. Nothing that we can't handle. They're breathing okay. Their pulse ox is okay. They have appetites, albeit not huge appetites. They are sleeping, and they also have been working with their doctors on antiviral medication. They were both vaxxed and boosted. So all things considered, we're functioning fairly well, but they need someone that's healthy that can go out into the world and get their medications, to cook for them, to wash clothes for them and clean their dishes. And it has proven to be complicated. Thankfully, the weather is cooperating, and there's a deck that adjoins the main part of the house with the apartment where my mom lives. And so we're able to kind of swap things, clean laundry for dirty laundry on the porch. We're able to swap clean dishes for dirty dishes, cooked meals with leftovers, drinks, medicines. It has proven to be extremely stressful the last few days. And so just trying to balance work and all of the responsibilities that I have, just maintaining my own household, and eating meals, taking showers, things like that. But then also trying to maintain my mom's health and my sister's health has been kind of a challenge the last few days. Luckily, I've been testing every day, and I've been negative so far, which is kind of amazing considering the proximity that I've had to both of them before realizing how sick they both were. And obviously, you can only stay as far away from people while you're trying to take care of them as you can. So there's a lot of disinfectant, masks, gloves, just trying to figure it all out. Christina asked, does your sister know how she got it? Well, my mom and my sister went shopping together last week, and we're thinking that maybe that's where they got it, but we don't know. It's been, a really interesting kind of last few days, and it's something that you guys have been tackling over the last 2+ years. It's something that we've talked a lot about here in the War Room. And to have it finally make its way into my house has been unsettling. I can tell you that after having a conversation with my mom's doctor specifically, COVID affects everybody differently, as we know. And one of the things that they have been keeping a close eye on, especially with long hauler syndrome, is the vascular damage that COVID has done. There were everything from COVID toes they've talked about. There have been instances with men of erectile dysfunction because of how COVID attacks the vascular system. I wanted to give you this information because I know I'm not the only one that's taking care of a parent or a grandparent that has dementia. It is scary how it affects people with that condition and that disease. It's unbelievable how the fever and the symptoms can make it seem like they're on another planet, like they legitimately have had a stroke, not being able to communicate in full sentences, not understanding basic concepts like why you need to put pajamas on to go to bed, taking medicine, things that before, I was still fortunate enough to be able to have my mom understand. And now that she has COVID, things have gotten complicated. Heinz says one of the best things is open windows. Absolutely. The problem is, as it gets colder, they both have fevers. And so the shivering, the sweating, the 6 blankets, and then can't get away from the blankets enough. So during the day, we've been able to keep the house really aired out on their side and mine. But at night, not being able to keep the windows open until it's warm at night. Just trying to keep things clean. I can tell you that I made a couple decisions when I bought my house that have paid off in spades. I also wanted to share this information with you, not only just because of COVID, but also allergies and other things like that. I have a really good friend of mine named Sean that works in HVAC. And so when I bought my house years ago and redid the HVAC system, he came over and kind of looked at it and encouraged me to put some extras into the HVAC system, the humidification. And it was particularly first and foremost and selfishly to protect my voice. You guys have heard me be incredibly susceptible to laryngitis. When it gets really dry in the wintertime, it can really affect my voice. Obviously, I need my voice to work. So we put humidification in the ductwork, and we also put these crazy HEPA filters in. And we also put UV lighting in the ductwork. They're like little black lights that are in the ductwork. And what they do is as the air filters through the HVAC system, the UV light kills bacteria and germs that's in the air that's going through the HVAC system. And I have noticed that in the time that I've owned this house, when those things are working, someone that might get sick on one side of the house has not gotten sick on the other side of the house and vice versa. The other thing that I did is put this new thing on when COVID really hit, and specifically put it in to protect the air in my studio. And it's a hospital grade, like air sanitizing thing. It was a few $100. He installed it. And once again, it does something. It ionizes particles and whatever in the air and strips things out of the air. So one of the things I'm very lucky about is that the way that the house is zoned out, we're able to keep the circulated air separate on my mom's side of the apartment versus the house. And that the air is constantly being scrubbed in the house. And I credit that for helping to keep me from getting sick. I know that my allergies have been killing me over the last couple of weeks, and you guys have heard me wheezing and have laryngitis, but I really do believe that that is part of the reason why I have been able to not get sick and to be able to then take care of them as they have been sick and kind of hunkered down in quarantine together. So I got to tell you guys, it has been since Saturday when the test came back positive. It's been scary. It's been, just a whirlwind of emotions. And I've learned a lot from the doctors. Obviously, we're not just dealing with COVID, but we're also dealing with, this uncertainty about how the symptoms are going to affect my mom. And I really wanted to talk to you guys about it tonight because if you are taking care of a loved one with dementia, with Alzheimer's, with any other kind of pre-existing condition, COVID can affect them completely differently than it does other people. And so lack of appetite definitely happening, trouble sleeping definitely happening, can't stop sleeping definitely happening, fever. There is a little bit of a rumbling cough, but it hasn't become that scary COVID cough yet. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're monitoring her pulse and oxygen. The doctor said if she starts to, you see the oxygenation levels going down with the little thing that's on her finger, bring her to the emergency room right away. If she starts to labor and breathing, bring her to the emergency room. The fever kind of comes and goes. And so we're treating the symptoms. And she's also on a bunch of antiviral medication because of her age and pre-existing conditions. The doctors don't want to take any chances. So as of right now, things are okay and we are maintaining things. I can also tell you that Wednesday has been the cutest nursemaid that you have ever seen. And she has been so sweet. And so far, so good. Keep your fingers crossed for me. And obviously, do everything you can to stay healthy. One of the things that I heard from my mom's doctor when I called her, I had gotten some of those government issued home tests, which is how we found out originally that my mom was sick, and then called the doctor, got the test, got it confirmed, all of that. And my mom's doctor told me that the number of positive cases is skyrocketing right now. Thankfully, most people, at least around here, have been vaxxed and boosted. So they're weathering the storm well. I'm so glad that we were able to get my mom vaccinated and boosted as soon as the vaccines were made available because of her age and her condition. We got her vaccinated right away. And I also credit that with, even though she's symptomatic, that she's not worse. So as of right now, things are okay, but I just wanted to kind of let you guys know. I'm not trying to preach about, you getting vaccinated. That's not what this is. I wanted to let you know kind of what was going on in my life and how the symptoms have been going, and also how it's been, showing up with my mom, and how the symptoms have been a little different. My sister's got a little bit of brain fog, but my mom, it's been a whole other level because of the Alzheimer's. So just keep your eyes on, the people that you love, especially people that have not gotten COVID yet. And if they have any kind of condition like dementia or Alzheimer's, you just want to pay super close attention. So that's what's going on over here, which is why I'm not drinking tonight. Just a little seltzer in my Lemonster High class of 1990 glass, because I'm trying to do everything that I can to stay healthy. I have been pounding the vitamin C, taking more vitamins. I've been eating better than I have in a really long time over the last few days, just to make sure that I do everything I can to stay healthy. So, yeah, absolutely crazy. Nothing is ever dull around here. Okay, wanted to let you guys know that today was kind of a big day. Today was my 1 year anniversary on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. Last week was my 1 year anniversary on Westwood One, and it's really strange to celebrate anniversaries of jobs that I consider to still be so new in the grand scheme of things. And obviously, as we've gone through 183 episodes of the War Room here, you guys have seen me through WAF going off the air, the start of my company, obviously the War Room starting, the podcast launch, the website launch, just everything that's happened. And then being able to announce a year ago that I was going to start on the air at Westwood One and then start on the air on the Pike. And now a year later to be celebrating my 1 year anniversary. I know, Monica, it's crazy. She's like, already? It doesn't even seem possible, but it is. And today, actually, it was May 3rd I started on the air on Westwood One, and May 10th that I started on the Pike. Excuse me. So it's crazy. So I just wanted to share a little bit of a happy anniversary with you guys, to thank you for all of the love, to thank everyone. I was talking about it on the air today, obviously, but to thank my brother from another mother, Mike Shue, who is on the air doing mornings on the Pike, to thank Chuck Perks, who is my program director and also the midday host, to thank my general manager, Bob Goodell, everybody on the staff at the Pike. They have made me feel welcome, to thank everybody that listens on the Pike, all of you guys for the support. It's kind of amazing that it's been a year, and I've loved it, and it's been awesome. And now that we're able to go out and do more and more things, the Hair Fest is coming up. There's just so much to be excited about, and to be celebrating my first anniversary is kind of awesome. So yay, happy anniversary. Here's to one down and many to go. Also wanted to remind you about the Vanished podcast, episode 341, covering my cousin Michael's disappearance story. And the family has put together Michael's Run and Party with a Purpose, and they raise money for mental health awareness, and they do a lot of stuff with school-age kids when it comes to depression and mental health struggles, because it's something that my cousin struggled with a lot secretly. The family knew, but there was definitely stigma back in, the 80s when he struggled in high school. And the Party with a Purpose is happening this Saturday night. There's details on the party up on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. You can read more about my cousin's story at michaelsrun.com. And also, if you go in my blog at mistresscarrie.com, the Vanished episode is embedded there if you want to go and listen to it. It's a fascinating podcast that just talks about and covers missing persons cases. And, there's so many different podcasts out there, so many different themes and topics. Some of the most popular ones are the unsolved mysteries, the unsolved crimes, the serial killer stuff. And it's shocking to me that there are so many people missing in this world that there can be a podcast dedicated just to that. And they're already at episode 341, and they are not slowing down anytime soon because there are just so many people that have gone missing without a trace. So I just wanted to put another plug in there. Some people have reached out to me and left me messages saying that they listen to the podcast, that it's a fascinating story. They've become fans of this podcast because they go through the stories leading up to the disappearance of these people, talking to the family. I make an appearance in this episode of the podcast, and I just want to make sure that I show my appreciation because the Vanished podcast reached out to the family and wanted to do an episode about my cousin. And I just thought that was amazing because he's been missing since 2003. And so after all these years, to still have people that are willing to kind of stand up and say, hey, we want to help is a pretty amazing thing. So I wanted to make sure that I got the plug in for the Vanished podcast. I am totally sorry, guys. I did not pick out a cocktail recipe for tonight, so we got to skip it tonight. Like I said, my head's been all over the place today. I did not have a chance to go through the book and find a recipe for tonight, so maybe we'll do 2 next week, but I apologize for not having a recipe ready for the show tonight, but it's been a crazy few days. I want to recap episode 100 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Mikey Wengren popping up in the corner. That's a typo. Cheers. Social. Last week, we hit another milestone, episode 100 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. The full-length numbered episodes of the podcast come out every Wednesday, which means that since we have not missed a week with a new episode, this is 100 weeks and going. And it's been amazing. We've only doubled up on artists and interviews a couple of times. Lizzie Hale was on before with Amy Lee on a bonus episode of the podcast when they announced their co-headlining arena tour. But this was the first time that I had Lizzie on just her, to do a whole episode, just her. And it was right before Back from the Dead, the new Hailstorm album came out, which came out this past Friday. What's up, Greg, up in Keene, New Hampshire? Social, Heidi says. Mark says, Lizzie Hale was awesome. I'm so glad that you guys love the episode. I've known Lizzie for a really, really long time. Since, the first record came out, WAF was kind of all in on Hailstorm from the beginning. And she has always been there when I've asked her. And, I've always been there when she's needed anything from me as well. And so I loved having her on there to kind of not only talk about how different this album is because of when it was written and how it was written and the effect of the isolation, the COVID lockdown, but also to hear how uplifted she is now that she's able to tour, how excited she was for people to hear this record, and just to hear her optimism for the amazing tours that the band has gone out on, and especially with this new tour that's happening this summer with the Pretty Reckless, The Warning, and with Lilith Czar. There's just such a huge wave of women in rock. There is such a resurgence of all this amazing new music that's coming out. And, you can really hear it with Lizzie now that she's been able to go out on the road, play some shows, get in front of people again, the anticipation of the record coming out, and now to have things, quote unquote, slowly getting back to normal. It was nice to be able to joke around with her about other things and to kind of be able to have the candid conversations that we've been able to have in the past. And to be happy and to not wonder, when are we going to see you again? Like, we know they're going to be at the Leader Bank Pavilion coming up in July. Tickets are on sale right now. Matter of fact, tickets to the show are part of that $25 Live Nation special that they've been doing the last week. Tonight's the last night. Live Nation put a bunch of shows up for sale with $25 tickets, and this Hailstorm tour is one of them. But the $25 sale ends tonight. So if you go to livenation.com, you can do it right now while we're talking on the show. A whole list of all of the shows that are eligible for the $25 deal are on there. And this Hailstorm tour is one of them, which is really cool. There are so many shows. We've been talking about it ad nauseum on the radio and here in the War Room about how it's just not possible for us all to afford to go to every show we want to because there are just too many concerts. And so for Live Nation to recognize that and to make a bunch of tickets definitely affordable and accessible for everyone by making tickets $25 is pretty cool. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go to livenation.com, but tonight's the last night and there's a ton. I'm talking the Korn and Evanescence tour, the Sammy Hagar tour. There's just so many shows that are eligible for this $25 deal, and Hailstorm is one of them. Mark says, I love how she said she's trying painting. And you know what? I've talked about this a lot. There are so many musicians that have gotten into painting. It's unbelievable. Rick Allen from Def Leppard, Marilyn Manson, Gene Simmons got into painting over the last few years. Lizzie Hale is getting into painting. It's unbelievable how many musicians, Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Joe Satriani talked about painting on the podcast. There is just some kind of part of the artist's brain that allows them to be able to create in a bunch of different mediums. And it's a part of the brain that is broken in me, because I can't paint and I can't write songs and I can't play instruments. So kind of screwed. Ralph says, hey, Carrie, going to Symphony X at the Palladium this Thursday night. There's so many shows. It's insane. Let's see. Betty says she hopes to see, now I got your granddaughter can watch ya. I'll listen. Wednesday was already in here tonight and now she is back taking care of my mom because she ran across the house and she's been gone ever since. She knows all the cookies are gone too. Jerry, absolutely right. The Rob Zombie Mudvayne Powerman 5000 Static X tour is also part of that $25 deal. But like I said, the deal ends tonight. So if you're going to buy any, and they only put away a certain amount of tickets at that $25 deal. So when those $25 tickets are gone, they're gone. So if you want to try and score a decent deal on some cheap tickets, I would do it while the show is on right now. And then let me know in the comments if you end up scoring some $25 tickets, which would be great. Michael says, going to see Tesla on Friday at Hampton Beach. Also ordered my tickets for the Tattoo the Earth. That is going to be an amazing show at the Palladium outdoors. Let's see. Hailstorm, the new song Raise Your Horns needs to be our theme song. Yeah, seriously. If you haven't heard the Hailstorm record, the corresponding playlist for this episode is really, really good. And we talked a lot about songwriting. Lizzie Hale went into pretty specific detail about why she thinks Tom Petty is such an amazing songwriter. I couldn't agree more. I love that songwriting question that we always talk about here on the podcast. And I loved her answer. And so if you have not caught up with the podcast yet, if you haven't listened to episode 100, it features Lizzie Hale. I really wanted somebody special to be on episode 100 and to be able to get Lizzie the same week that her album was going out on sale and being released, and to be able to celebrate the 100th episode of the podcast at the same time was pretty awesome. So, excuse me. I'm so glad to have my voice back, but I'm at that stage of the allergies now where it's just super dry. Ugh. Okay. I cannot wait to tell you guys who's on the podcast this week. Was so excited when I got a yes. It actually kind of, came across my desk kind of unexpectedly because of the collaboration that this week's guest was making with another group. and made himself available for some interviews. And I was like, hell yes. So I'm super excited to tell you that this week's guest on the Mistress Carrie podcast, episode 101, features none other than Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. Geezer Butler appears on the new Apocalyptica single. Apocalyptica was just in town recently at Big Night Live with Lacuna Coil. Geezer Butler, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, legendary bass player of Black Sabbath. One of the people responsible for inventing heavy metal. He's on the podcast this week, and we talked about a bunch of stuff. I don't want to tell you everything because there are some literal gut belly laughs in this episode, and I do not want to give them away because I want them to hit you as organically as they hit me during the interview. But I do want to tell you a few things. I did talk to him about how we selected Black Sabbath as the last song for WAF. He told me the story of where the term heavy metal came from, which was amazing. We talked about everything that he's got going on, the collaboration with Apocalyptica, the first draft of his autobiography, his line of NFTs, his upcoming box set of all of his solo work. We also talked about the Dio documentary because he was at the screening at South by Southwest Film Festival and was literally sitting with Wendy Dio, with Sebastian Bach, and with Eddie Trunk watching the first screening of the documentary, told me all about it. Christine, I have interviewed Geezer Butler before. I'll tell you guys this quick story from Ozfest. So there was a time on the Ozfest, one of the years that Black Sabbath headlined and Black Label Society was also on Ozfest. And it was when Neanderthal Paul Marshall was doing afternoons at AAF. I believe I was doing middays at the time. It was during a homestand of the Red Sox, and the Red Sox and Yankees were playing each other at Fenway. There were a couple Ozfest dates, and there was a day off in between. And Zach Wilde, who was a huge Yankees fan, agreed to do a promotion with WAF, and we gave away some tickets behind home plate for one of the Sox-Yankees games. And you got to go to the game with me and Neanderthal, with Zach Wilde and the guys from Black Label Society. And Zach did a little wager with Neanderthal and I. And if the Red Sox won, that Zach Wilde would wear a Red Sox jersey on stage on the Ozfest. And if the Yankees won, Neanderthal and I had to wear Yankees jerseys to Ozfest when we went up to introduce Black Label Society. And so obviously my Red Sox let me down. We had to wear Yankees jerseys to Ozfest. We got booed in Mansfield, in Massachusetts, in front of a hometown crowd because we had A-Rod and Jeter jerseys on. And we were backstage doing all of the other interviews for Ozfest. And the only photo that I have of me and Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath, I'm wearing a fucking Derek Jeter jersey. And it sucks. You can find it in my Artist Archive album on Facebook. But so yes, long-winded story. Yes, I have interviewed Geezer Butler before. Yes, I've met him before. He's a true gentleman. You will hear in this episode, we talk about a lot of stuff. He got very candid about the last job he ever had before he gave up trying to have a regular job and gave everything up for music. He was very candid about, you know, I asked him, if you weren't a musician, what would you do? And his answer was kind of hilarious. And we also had a pretty in-depth conversation about his pets. I'm not going to tell you anything more about that because I really want you guys to listen to the episode. But by the end of this week's episode, you will know why I am now the new official house sitter for Geezer Butler and his wife, Gloria. I absolutely love this episode. Geezer is so personable, and he's just that English gentleman. You can just tell he's been doing it for so long. You know, he answers questions just with grace and ease. He is so open, And he's just a great guy. And I'm so excited to have Geezer Butler as my guest on episode 101 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. So, Donna, you have no idea how painful it was. Awful. What's up, Haas? My friend Haas joining us from New Hampshire here in the War Room. Cheers, Haas. Mark, he did not give me any Ozzy updates. There's a lot that goes into the personalities of Black Sabbath. And whenever I interview a member of a band that's not the singer or kind of the focal point of the band, and by default, that usually ends up being the lead singer, you guys will hear in my interviews that I really do try to go out of my way to not ask them about other members of their band, because they are an equal and important role in the band. And so I opted to really focus on a lot of the things that were going on in Geezer's life, as opposed to just asking him about Ozzy. I don't think he would have been upset if I did ask him, but I really do go out of my way to not focus on, I would never want Geezer to feel like, well, she couldn't get Ozzy for an interview, so she got me and then just asked me about Ozzy. He probably wouldn't feel that way, but I just really try to go out of my way to be hypersensitive about it. So no, I didn't ask him about that. Let's see. Would Shu have a heart attack if you landed an interview with Neil Young before he did Will? He would probably be so freaking mad, considering Mike Shu hosts a Neil Young podcast called Long May You Young, which, by the way, if you love Neil Young music and you love Mike Shu, you would love this podcast. But yeah, Mike Shu would probably be really pissed if I landed a Neil Young interview. And don't think I won't try. But you guys know how much I love Mike Shu, and I would probably try to steer that interview to Mike Shu first because I love him so much. But anyone else, I would cut their throat to get the Neil Young interview before they did. But maybe not with Shu. But it'd be nice to bust his balls about it and be like, I got an interview with Neil Young. And to have him be like, and then be like, nah, you take him first. Ryan says, let's start the petition. So funny. So super excited about episode 101 of the Mistress Carrie podcast featuring Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. It goes live at midnight tonight. It's part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. And in the corresponding playlist for this week's episode, which by the way is great, you can also hear the new Apocalyptica track that features Geezer Butler as well. All right, if you subscribe and follow the Mistress Carrie podcast, you are also on top of getting the weekly episodes that come out every Wednesday. You're also going to get the bonus episodes, and you're also going to get the sit rep. The situation report you get every Monday through Friday. It uploads at 3 a.m. So no matter how early you get up in the morning, you can get all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in less than 5 minutes. And you get it every weekday, and it's constantly being updated. And it's quick, rapid fire stories. But in the show notes of every sit rep are all the links to show you where I got the stories from, so that if I touch on something that you're super interested about, I'm citing my sources so you know where to go and get more information. The Mistress Carrie podcast is available pretty much anywhere that you listen to podcasts, so make sure you subscribe. And I also want to remind you guys that if you have been listening to the podcast on the mobile app on Facebook, that part of Facebook is going away in the next couple of weeks. They have decided that the audio part of Facebook that has the podcasts that automatically feed onto the mobile app of Facebook is going to be something that they stop servicing. And so if you've just been able to just hit play on these podcast episodes on Facebook on your phone, they're not going to make any kind of announcement that it's going away at a certain time. It's just going to go away. And the news hit last week. And so I really want to get the word out because I know so many people that it's just so easy that while you're screwing around on Facebook, you just hit play and you're able to listen to the sit reps and you're able to listen to the podcast. And it just puts a little embedded player, but it's only on Facebook on the mobile app. It seems to still be working right now, but you are just going to wake up one day and it's going to be gone. And so if you want to make sure that you know when the new episodes are coming out, especially unexpected episodes like bonus episodes, after action reports, all of that kind of stuff, subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you would go to listen to podcasts otherwise. So if you subscribe on Apple, Google, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher, Deezer, Overcast, TuneIn, Mozilla, Podcast Addict, Player FM. There's just a ton of places. And as long as you search for the Mistress Carrie podcast and you see that artwork, you know that you are in the right spot. We're still holding strong at 130 countries listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. Canada's still holding strong at number 2. So we always want to show some love to our neighbors to the north and thank all of the crazy Canadians up there for continuing to listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast. Also want to thank everybody in England, in Australia, and in Germany. That rounds out the top 5 of listenership in the podcast. And so I want to make sure I'm sending love to all of those people as well. All right, we got a bunch of headlines we got to talk about. The first thing that I want to talk about, I didn't even put on the screen because news broke late this afternoon. I don't know if you guys saw it yet, but Fox Sports, there's an article in the New York Post saying that Fox Sports has cut a deal with Tom Brady for whenever he decides to retire from football, that they have hired him and have him under contract to be an NFL analyst for 10 years following his retirement from the NFL for a whopping $375 million for 10 years. So if you're not capable of doing quick math, that's $37.5 million a year for 10 years for Tom Brady's analysis of the NFL on Fox Sports, which is out of control. He hasn't even retired yet, and he's already got another job lined up. I also wanted to throw my hat in the ring because Fox Sports probably doesn't have any money left to round out the team to do any kind of NFL analysis. And so if they're looking for someone to be on the sidelines for like $8, they can hire me because it's probably all the budget they have left because literally Tom Brady took all the money. That I couldn't believe. So I wanted to tell you. Yeah, Tracy goes, double fuck. I know. Ryan says, I own 5 shares of stock in Facebook. I'll call Mark Zuckerberg and get that fixed. Brady is getting 10 years, $375 million. I know. It's absolutely insane. Giselle made him do that. You know what? For $375 million, Giselle can make me do anything. I'll even eat avocado ice cream for $37.5 million a year. Fuck. Are you kidding me? Wow. Mark says, damn, I wish I should have stuck with football after college. Seriously, it's insane. Want to remind you about the Tattoo the Earth Festival. It used to be the Tattoo the Earth Tour. It's coming back for one day only. It's going to be at the Palladium outdoors in Worcester. And it's Anthrax, the aforementioned Black Label Society, Hatebreed, At the Gates, Municipal Waste, and Force. The tickets are already on sale. And it is a one-day return of the Tattoo the Earth Festival, and it's just going to be absolutely insane. Stained is going to be at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, and that show is happening on September 11th. Those tickets are on sale now. Aaron Lewis also doing some solo dates as well. He's going to be at Indian Ranch coming up on September 3rd, and Mike Mushok from Stained also has a new EP coming out with Saint Asonia, so he's been keeping himself busy as well. Shinedown, Jelly Roll, and John Harvey are going to be at the Xfinity Center coming up on September 13th. Those tickets are on sale now. And you know what, guys? Can you raise a glass for Jelly Roll, please? Jelly Roll hit number 1 on the rock chart yesterday for Dead Man Walking. And he is also 32 on the country chart this week for the song Son of a Sinner. So he has got 2 songs at 2 different formats charting at the same time. And if you guys heard him on episode 90 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, you know why I love him so much. He is just such a genuine guy. And I could not be happier for Jelly Roll for just doing so well. And the fact that he's got this massive tour with Shinedown coming is just awesome. So cheers, congratulations to Jelly Roll. I've been watching the chart and watching the chart. He was so happy to make it in the top 30. Then he was so happy to make it in the top 20. He was so happy just to make it into the top 10. And he was number 4 when he was at the Palladium. And it has been a slow and steady climb for him. And I'm just so happy. So cheers to you, Jelly Roll. I'm so happy for you. Number 1, what a huge accomplishment. You only have to do it 16 more times to be able to top your tour mates in Shinedown, because they currently hold the record for the most number 1 rock songs on the rock chart at 17 because of their most recent number 1, Planet Zero. So Shinedown. Planet Zero, by the way, is coming out on July 1st, and they're going to be at the Xfinity Center together on September 13th. Weird Al was just in town with Emo Phillips doing a bunch of different dates. And don't forget, he's got one more date in the area at Indian Ranch on August 5th. Alice in Chains, Breaking Benjamin and Bush at the Xfinity Center on October 8th. Those tickets are on sale now and part of that $25 deal that ends tonight. The Offspring at the House of Blues coming up on the 15th. I believe that show might be part of the $25 deal as well. You'll have to check. Ann Wilson's going to be at Indian Ranch on July 23rd, and her new album Fierce Bliss is now out. Limp Bizkit's at the Palladium tonight. I'm so bummed that I'm not there. The show got moved from the Songus to the Palladium. And they're going to be at Mohegan in a couple of days as well. So if you weren't able to get to the Palladium tonight, you did not miss your last chance to see Limp Bizkit. New stuff that's coming out this Friday. The Rolling Stones have their live album Live at El Macambo from 1977. That album has never been released, and it's coming out on Friday. It's going to be out on CD. It's going to be out on a 4 LP pack, a 4 LP neon pack. It'll be out digitally as well. The Black Keys have their new album Dropout Boogie that's coming out on Friday. Van Morrison has a new album called What's It Gonna Take coming out on Friday. Chainsmokers have So Far So Good coming out, and Florence and the Machine has Dance Fever. All of those coming out this Friday. And like I said, Shinedown's new album Planet Zero will be out on July 1st, postponed because they're waiting for the physical copies of the album to be done. The Knotfest Roadshow is almost here. They're going to be at the Dunkin' Donuts Center on May 21st and at the SNHU Arena on May 22nd. I believe part of the $25 deal for Live Nation also includes the Dunkin' Donuts Center show in Providence, Rhode Island, if you're looking for $25 tickets to Knotfest. Pussifer is going to be at the House of Blues in Boston on June 28th. I believe that's part of the $25 deal. Joe Satriani at the Orpheum coming up in November. Five Finger Death Punch, Megadeth, The Who, and Fire from the Gods at the Xfinity on September 18th. That is part of the $25 deal tonight. AWOL Nation's going to be at the House of Blues in Boston. They're coming in September. Those tickets are on sale now. Let me get caught up. Christine says going to see Shinedown next week at Welcome to Rockville. They had to cancel a show over the weekend because Brent Smith has been battling what he called full-blown bronchitis. So hopefully he's going to be able to get his voice back in time for Welcome to Rockville. Let's see. Ann Wilson playing the Cabin in Beverly, too. That place is getting some serious bands lately. I know. Bands are trying so hard. Everybody wants to be out on the road. And so they're looking for open nights. And so it's amazing that some great venues may be getting some tours that they normally wouldn't be able to get, which is awesome. Oh my God, so many good deals tonight, says Heidi. That's why I want you guys to take advantage of it, because the deals end after tonight. Royal Blood at the House of Blues coming up on May 24th. Hailstorm, The Pretty Reckless, The Warning, and Lilith Czar are going to be at the Leader Bank Pavilion on July 19th. Those tickets are part of the Live Nation deal. ZZ Top at the Leader Bank Pavilion, July 22nd. Pretty sure they're part of the Live Nation deal. Extreme is going to be at Indian Ranch September 2nd, Hampton Beach on September 3rd, before they open up for Aerosmith at Fenway on September 8th. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers are going to be at Fenway coming up on September 10th. Also, did you guys hear that Flea is making a cameo appearance in the new Disney Plus series, Obi-Wan? Flea's been in so many things. He's been in the second and third Back to the Future movies. He was in The Big Lebowski. He was in The Outsiders. And now he's going to be in the Disney Plus limited series, Obi-Wan, which is pretty cool. Turnstile is coming to the Palladium coming up on May 21st. Flogging Molly and the Interrupters are going to be at the Leader Bank Pavilion on July 1st. I believe that is part of the Live Nation deal, as is the Rob Zombie, Mudvayne, Power Man 5000, and Static X tour that'll be at the Xfinity on July 30th. The Stadium tour rolling into Fenway on August 5th and 6th. That's Motley Crue, that's Def Leppard, Poison, Joan Jett, Collective Soul, and Switchfoot at Indian Ranch on August 6th. The Black Crowes are coming to Tanglewood at the end of June. Blondie and the Damned at the Leader Bank Pavilion on August 14th. Evanescence and Korn at the Xfinity Center August 26th. That's part of the Live Nation deal. There's a George Carlin documentary. It's a 2-night documentary, and Judd Apatow put it together. It's a tribute to George Carlin. It's on HBO on May 20th and 21st. And there's also a Bob Saget documentary that Netflix announced that was recorded after his death. And there's a bunch of his friends that are going to be, everybody from Jim Carrey. There's just so many people. John Stamos is going to be part of it. Friends and family were the only ones allowed inside. I think they filmed it at the Comedy Store, and that is going to debut on Netflix on June 10th. And big news coming out of Apple. After 20 years, the first iPod was released for sale from Apple in October of 2001. And Apple announced today that they are officially discontinuing production of any and all iPods. The iPod, which is over 20 years old and helped to make music accessible. They weren't the first MP3 player, but they definitely changed the game. And to make music portable, launching iTunes, really taking a legitimate step in, digital music. And after 20 plus years, it is shocking that Apple has discontinued the iPod. It's just insane. And so I wanted to tell you guys about that too, just because it just goes to show you how quickly, technology has just changed everything. And so few people are actually purchasing digital music nowadays. They're relying on streaming. And so there's no need for a separate mechanism to store your music on, because basically everything from iPhones to, the iPod minis and everything has its own music capability. So the iPod, there are, I think it's the Nanos or something that are the last ones that they've been producing. And so they're going to sell out of all of the ones that they have, and then they're gone. I had one in college. I feel old now. I still have my Wheel one, which is filled with like 26,000 songs or something ridiculous, because not only did I buy a bunch of music, but I digitized a lot of my CDs into it. And I love having my music library with me all the time. I had it with me actually when I ran the marathon, because I didn't want to kill the battery on my phone, because my phone, I had hooked up the Find Friends app so that my husband, the radio station, and a lot of my friends could literally track me more accurately than the marathon app, which would only give them alerts when you cross certain points on the course. And so I didn't want to use the battery of my phone up by listening to music. So I actually ran with my iPod. And so it's crazy to me how old school that is, but just a few years ago. Ryan says, Bruins score. By the way, go Celtics. Tomorrow night, game 5 at the Garden. Cheers to the green. Christina says, I miss Napster. Legal Napster, yes. Illegal Napster, no. That's why you pay $80 plus surcharges for concert tickets and $50 for t-shirts, because people just wanted to steal their music, and we all said it was coming. All right, speaking of tickets, I would like to give you guys some more tickets since you guys have been taking such full advantage of the ticket giveaways we've been doing here in the War Room. Royal Blood, who I absolutely love, who were on the podcast, I think episode 34. They're going to be at the House of Blues coming up in just a couple weeks. And so if you would like a free pair of tickets while they last to go and see Royal Blood at the House of Blues, go to mistresscarrie.com right now. Up in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you will see a button that says contact. In the subject, write Royal Blood and send me your full legal name and your email address, and I will send you some tickets to see Royal Blood at the House of Blues while they last. And I'm going to go based on who emailed me first or who contacted me through the website. So go to mistresscarrie.com, send me a message, click the contact button. If you would like a free pair of Royal Blood tickets, they're going to be at the House of Blues in just a couple of weeks on May 14th. I have some free tickets that I would love to share the wealth. If you have never seen Royal Blood live, do yourself a favor. I've seen him a few times. I saw him at the Brighton Music Hall in a really small venue. I saw him open up for the Foo Fighters at Fenway, and I've seen him at a couple of other venues, different in between sizes. I think the House of Blues is a perfect size venue to go and see them. They are absolutely fantastic live. So if you've never seen them, definitely try to get some free tickets. I know that the show is during the week. I know it's on a Tuesday night when you should be joining me here in the War Room. But if you want to go see Royal Blood, click the contact button at mistresscarrie.com, write Royal Blood in the subject line, and I will do my best to fill as many ticket requests as I can and to get rid of some of the tickets that I have so that you guys can go and have a good time. Speaking of shows, I want to remind you guys about the 4th annual 100 FM The Pike Hair Fest coming up July 30th at Indian Ranch. It's a Saturday. Music starts at noon. Mike Shue, Chuck Perks, and I are all going to be there to host it. And that weekend is just going to be crazy because the next day, The Pike presents Tesla at Indian Ranch as well. And then later on in the fall, the Rock Fest is coming to Indian Ranch towards the end of the concert season on September 10th. Details on both of these are up, or actually all three of them are up on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. But some really cool events coming with the Pike, and we definitely want to see you guys there. And especially the Hair Fest, bust out your retro concert shirts, bust out the mullet wigs, the spandex, the hairspray, the Aquanet, the blue mascara, whatever it is. Last year was an absolute blast. And do I report the legal name? No, I just need it. Because when I send you digital tickets, it asks me for the person's name, the email address, so that I can digitally send you the ticket. So just send me your name, whatever legal name, whatever it is. I need your full name. How's that? Let's see. No way I could fit into my retro shirt, says Michael. Hairfest 51 and still looking sexy, says Diva. Do we have to wear pants to the Hairfest? I believe, don't quote me, but I believe Indian Ranch requires pants. I'm breaking out the Drakkar Noir, says Ryan. Fantastic reference. You can get the details on all of these on the events calendar. Mail call. There is no mail call this week. I went to the mailbox today. There was nothing in there. I am expecting some cool stuff, but there was nothing in there today. So no mail call to speak of today. Want to remind you guys, Mistress Carrie merchandise is available at Joe's Albums in Worcester and in Northampton. And I also want to let you guys know that the tank tops are in. If the sizes are available on the website, then they are in stock. And the sizes that are not in stock, T-shirt Brian is printing as we speak. So they will be back in stock shortly. The black tank tops, there are a few sizes that are sold out, but the white tank tops, I believe we have them in every size in men's and women's. But they're selling like crazy. You guys said you wanted tank tops. You weren't friggin' kidding around because they're selling like crazy. They sold great at the Big Gig, and they're continuing to sell. Sun's out, guns out. So if you don't have your tank tops yet, they're available on the website. And I'm working on baseball hats. I am also working on the long sleeve flannels and some other stuff. And there are, I think, one size of the hoodies. I think double extra larges are sold out. T-shirt Brian is also restocking the hoodies as well. And so we'll get those back in stock very, very quickly. So if today is your birthday, you celebrate your birthday with Bono. You also are sharing your birthday with Richard Patrick from Filter and Sid Vicious. They were all born on this date. Happy birthday. If today's your birthday, happy unbirthday, Keith. And you've still got time to get a birthday card in the mail for Sergeant Victor Butler, who is from Cranston, Rhode Island. He turns 100 years old coming up on May 21st. He is the last surviving Tuskegee Airman in Rhode Island. Here is the address if you want to send him a birthday card, get kids to draw pictures, whatever it is. You'll also find this address if you don't have a chance to write it down. It is posted up in my blog at mistresscarrie.com. So if you want to share that, we've got a little bit over a week to get these cards to him down in Rhode Island. So if you have not gotten a card in the mail yet, please post it up on social media, share it. Let's just make it obnoxious for him on his birthday. He said he wanted to see cards from around the country for his 100th birthday, and I thought that was really cool. And so I want to make sure that we're helping the best we can. So get the cards in the mail while we still can. All right. What else do we got to talk about here? Everybody that has a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass on Patreon. Backstage passes, you get everything from the exclusive monthly live stream that we do every month. You can submit podcast interview questions. You get travel blog updates. I got another trip coming up, so I'll definitely be keeping you up to date on my travels again. You get early access to event tickets. There are also exclusive concert ticket giveaways. And if you have a Backstage Pass, tickets you have access to right now with your Backstage Pass: Pussifer tickets, Royal Blood tickets, Knotfest tickets, Rob Zombie, Mudvayne, Powerman 5000 and Static X tickets. You also have access to Korn and Evanescence tickets. So if you have a Backstage Pass already, you have access to all of these tickets. You know how to get them. And if you don't have a Backstage Pass yet, you can get it by clicking the Patreon button at mistresscarrie.com or going directly to patreon.com/mistresscarrie. And I want to be able to hook you up with some stuff. So get a Backstage Pass if you don't have one already. And I also want to remind you guys about my Cameo. I made a few Cameo videos recently. I was having some technical issues getting the audio to record for some reason, but I think we've been able to figure it out. But I was able for Mother's Day to film some great Cameo videos for people, which I love doing. So if you're on Cameo and there's a reason why you need a custom video for somebody, I'd be more than happy to film it. But you can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, on TikTok, YouTube, Patreon. They're all right there. And these are all linked at mistresscarrie.com as well. So sharing is caring, says Tracy. Home now, drove into the dead zone. Ugh, missed all the iPod talk. I'll have to catch up on that part, says Betty. I needed to make sure that the tank tops fit, so I hid my lemons. You know, sharing is caring. Last of the month is Memorial Day. Are we going to do it earlier? Yeah, Donna, we are going to do it earlier because Memorial Day weekend is always crazy for everybody, so I don't want to have to do it. Turn the mute off. Rodney, that is not what it was, smartass. It was something within the app. I actually had to contact tech support to be able to figure it out. Looking forward to doing another one for my daughter in September. Last year's was awesome. Awesome, Michael. Bruins lost 4-1. How many concerts am I going to, Carrie? Says Karen. Look, there are a ton of shows that are coming to the area. There are just so many tours out there. And I'm trying to do everything I can to get you guys to go to as many of them as you can, whether it be tipping you off about ticket sales, discounted tickets, or trying to get you access to as many free tickets as I can. But yeah, Michael, exactly. Get out and support live music. We waited a really long time to be able to go to concerts again. And so the artists have been waiting a really long time to be able to get back out on the road. And so I want to make sure we're supporting them. So Marcy says, May 29th is my 47th birthday. Well, Marcy, we will make sure that we're celebrating your birthday. So many great shows coming, says Christine. Charmed Healer says livenation.com. There's a whole list there, but that sale ends tonight. I cannot stress that enough. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Today's the last day for the $25 ticket deal. I need to not work so I can go to all of these great shows. Trust me. It's killing me, some of the shows that I'm not able to go to. And most of the time, it's because of just balancing the caretaking responsibilities for my mom, especially right now. Just trying to make it all work. Chris, what? You've only been to... What, Hoss? You've only been to 2 concerts in your entire life? I went to 2 concerts this month already. What? We got to get you to some shows, dude. That is just unacceptable behavior. Unacceptable! Michael says, I hear you. Yeah. LL Cool J at the Worcester Centrum in 92. Yes. That is awesome. Hell yeah. I was actually having that conversation with Sully at the big gig because we both, I believe, saw our first concerts at what is now the DCU Center. And so to see him playing on that stage and to be able to get to introduce him on that stage was kind of like this crazy moment for the both of us, which was great. They need to make handicap accessible tickets available for the $25 tickets. Every show I've checked, there are none. That is really strange. I would think that the $25 tickets would also be accessible, but I do not know the answer to that question. I'm sorry that I don't know, Rachel. Yes, the Worcester Centrum Center, Tracy says. We had 2 at a week at Grand Central Station. I mean, Haas, we got to get you to some shows. That's just completely unfair. All right, guys, that brings me to the end of the show. I got my voice back, which is great. Obviously, I, talked to you guys about everything that's going on around here. So hopefully I'll be healthy and I'll be fine. And we'll be back in the War Room for episode 184 next week. COVID free, knock on wood. Don't forget tonight at midnight, episode 101 of the Mistress Carrie podcast goes live, featuring the one and only Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. I cannot wait for you guys to hear this episode. He's so much fun. And like I said, there are some big laughs in this one. He was so candid and so sweet. And I'm his official house sitter now, so you have to listen to the episode to find out why. So that episode goes live at midnight tonight. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you normally listen on Facebook, because that is going away. And that's it, guys. Episode 183 in the books. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. Thank you for being here, not only through 183 episodes of the War Room, but 101 episodes of the podcast. And thank you one final time for helping me celebrate my 1-year anniversary on Westwood One, and today specifically on 100 FM The Pike. Cheers to you guys. I'll see you guys next week, and stay healthy. And don't lick anything weird. Wash your damn hands.